What's up everybody, it is Dancam, and I am back with another video. And today we're going to be reviewing the Omen 16 laptop. And I wanted to find out if laptop gaming can be a permanent solution or if it's just something you own in addition to something like a desktop PC. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, guys, to start this off, let's go ahead and go over the specs for this system, but keep in mind that configurations will vary from laptop to laptop, but these are the specs for the system that I am reviewing. For the CPU, it's got an Intel i7-12700H, which has 14 cores, with 6 of those being performance cores and 8 being efficiency cores. For the GPU, it's rocking an NVIDIA RTX 3070 Ti, which comes with NVIDIA's Max-Q technology, which is designed to optimize your laptop's performance, power, and acoustics for peak efficiency. NVIDIA Max-Q equipped laptops will have a longer battery life, and the cooling system is significantly smaller, which reduces the size of the chassis. And speaking of the size of the chassis, this laptop measures 9.75 inches deep by 14.5 inches wide and 1.25 inches tall and weighs in at 4.8 pounds. So I would definitely consider it lightweight. It's got 16 gigabytes of 4800 megahertz DDR5 RAM, a 1 terabyte solid state hard drive, and the audio system for the laptop is by Bang & Olufsen, which has 2 onboard speakers and DTS-X. The laptop has an 83 watt-hour battery, which does support fast charge, where HP states it can achieve 50% charge in about 30 minutes. Moving on to the display, it is 16.1 inches in size, hence the name Omen 16. It is 1440p or Quad HD with a refresh rate of 165 Hz and a response time of 3 milliseconds. It is an IPS panel with a brightness of 300 nits and also offers low blue light options. Also, right above the display is a wide vision 720p webcam and dual microphone ports. On the bottom of the laptop, there are 2 rubber pads which elevate the system about 1/4 of an inch, and there is a plastic mesh that allows fresh air to come into the bottom through the 2 12-volt fans and exhaust out of the side vents. On the face, there is a 90-key adjustable backlit keyboard with a normal 10 keyless layout with the addition of the Omen Diamond button, which will open Omen Gaming Hub. There is also a large trackpad which measures 5.5 inches by 3.5 inches. It's definitely a big boy. As far as connections and ports go, the right side of the laptop has 2 super speed USB Type A and multiple vents for chassis exhausts, which you'll find pretty much on each side of the laptop. The left side has an SD card reader, a combo audio jack, another super speed USB Type A port, and an RJ45 Ethernet jack. The back of the laptop will have the port where the 230 watt AC power adapter plugs in, an HDMI 2.1 port, and 2 USB Type-C ports. The system will come loaded with Windows 11 and some HP Omen apps to help you with monitoring system vitals, changing the fan curve profile, adjusting the lighting for the keyboard, updating the system, and much more. And just like every single pre-built system made, maybe ever, it'll come with McAfee antivirus. Woohoo! Okay guys, so those are all the specs for the Omen 16 laptop that I'm reviewing. So let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay where we'll show some temperatures and some benchmarks. All right, guys, before we get into the review for the Omen 16 laptop, I want to give a huge shout out to the shoe company FitVille. They recently sent me out 2 pairs of their newest running shoes because for me, it's always been difficult shopping for shoes because I have a super wide foot and I wear a size 12. So finding shoes that are comfortable, supportive, and fit has always been a major problem for me. So I've been super happy with these shoes. I've been wearing them for probably about the past month and they've been absolutely fantastic. I really love how they have wide toe boxes and they also offer different widths for their shoes from wide 2E to extra wide 4E. And they also make a ton of different shoes from hiking, work, walking, running, tennis, and even golf shoes. And FitVille was even nice enough to throw a 30% discount for DanCam viewers. So if you want to check them out, they're offering 30% off with the DanCam30 code. And the link for FitVille is going to be in the description and in the pinned comment. So let's jump into the review for the Omen 16 laptop. And you guys know me, I love a good pros and cons list. So we'll go ahead and start off with the pros. And the first one is going to be that the laptop is very fast and responsive. And this one is pretty much fully spec'd out. So any task I threw at it was handled with no problem. I even edited a video on this and I didn't see any stuttering or any of the normal things you get with an under-spec laptop in something like Premiere Pro. So the laptop is extremely fast and extremely responsive. So really enjoyed that I had a stutter-free experience with running any program. The next pro is going to be there's tons of different ports for connectivity. So normally whenever you get a laptop, you usually get some kind of USB hub. But with how many ports there are in this, I don't even really think that's necessary. You've got a ton of USB type A's, you've got USB type C. So unless you've got a ton of things plugged into your laptop, it's got more than enough to get you going with your mice, a printer, or whatever else you may use with your laptop. The next pro is going to be the display looks absolutely fantastic. It is 1440p and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Every game I tried on here is super colorful. I didn't notice any backlight bleed or smearing or any issues with it really. It's an absolutely beautiful display. The next pro is going to be games are super smooth. And like I said, this is fully spec'd out. So it handled all games at 1440p from 60 FPS up to about 110. And these were all super graphically intensive games. And if you turn down settings, you can probably get close to that 165 hertz refresh rate if you really wanted to. So games played super well. The next pro is going to be there's very minimal bloatware. And the bloatware that is on here, I won't even consider it bloatware. They're super helpful programs like Omen Gaming Hub and HP Support Assistant. So even though there are a few programs that HP put on the computer, I think they are very useful other than things like McAfee, which like I said earlier, comes on literally every pre-built computer ever made nowadays. So super helpful programs. And if there is any bloatware that you don't like, you can just go into add or remove programs and take those off super easily. The next pro is going to be that the power supply is very small. And that kind of leads me to the laptop being super portable. So to power a 3070 Ti and an i7 Intel processor, it's just this little power brick right here. I know I didn't take pictures of this earlier, but this is a tiny little power brick and it probably weighs about 2 to 3 pounds. So you can pretty much take this with you anywhere. Then all you would need is maybe like a mouse pad and a mouse, and you can game pretty much anywhere, which is absolutely awesome. So I really like how small the power supply is, which just makes it super portable. And that kind of segues me into my last pro, which is going to be the size of the laptop. So considering the configuration that this laptop has, I'm mind blown by just how small this laptop is. It's super thin. It's super lightweight. It comes in at under 5 pounds. So taking this with you anywhere, you'll probably hardly notice it in your bag. And it's just incredibly small for how much power this laptop, really gives off. So love the size of the laptop, love how light it is, love the fact that the power supply for it is so small. Really impressed with how small laptops have gotten nowadays, because they used to be just absolute tanks. So we're definitely headed in the right direction. So that's going to do it for my pros list. So let's go ahead and jump into the cons. So I'm going to start off this cons list with the finish, and it is matte black. And while it does look absolutely amazing, it is a fingerprint magnet, and my hands are naturally oily. So if I don't wash them regularly, I'll leave fingerprints on like my keyboard and my mouse and other things. But even with washing my hands regularly, anytime I touch this laptop, it left fingerprints, and I found myself reaching for a microfiber and constantly cleaning off fingerprints. So that was a little bit annoying. But on the other hand, the finish looks absolutely amazing, especially with the backlit keyboard. So the next con is going to be fan noise. And while I understand it is a laptop and the fans are going to be a bit noisy because it's such a small chassis and it's got a cool 3070 Ti and an i7 Intel processor, but on the performance fan curve profile, the fans, I should say, got above 5,000 RPM, and they were extremely noisy. So if you're around people, it's probably going to be pretty annoying for them. And I found that the laptop had a good balance when on the normal profile. So it was able to keep the PC cool, and the fans were able to stay around 4,000 RPM, which was definitely audible, but it wasn't super annoying like it was on the performance setting. And it kept the PC cool, and with a headset, you probably wouldn't even notice the noise, but those two 12-volt fans can make a good amount of noise depending on how much load you're putting the PC under. And the next con is going to be the speakers, and the same thing, the chassis is super small, so you're not going to be able to fit this huge, giant, speaker system on it, but they're very loud. And even at the highest volume, they're very trebly and very tinny sounding. And I find it unnecessary for them to be that loud, especially if you're just listening to, something without a headset. It doesn't need to be this loud, and it can get kind of ear piercing. So while it's nice the speakers do get that loud, I think it's unnecessary. But the Bang & Olufsen system with a headset sound absolutely fantastic. So basically, if you're using this laptop, I'd highly recommend using a headset, which most people that use this laptop are going to be. And the last con is kind of a big one, and it kind of goes back to my pro about it being portable. So it's portable to a sense that you kind of have to have your power brick with you, because if you unplug this power brick and you try to play a graphically intense game, it's going to absolutely tank your FPS. So I was playing Modern Warfare 2 at 1440p, and I was getting around 100 FPS, and I unplugged the power and it went down to around 15 to 20. So the game was not playable, which was kind of annoying, but I do understand that it's going to be super hard to maintain any battery life if you're trying to, tame a 3070 Ti when it's drawing that much power. I just wasn't expecting that much of an FPS hit. So basically, you have to have this power supply if you want to enjoy the graphically intense games at the higher resolutions and higher frame rates. So if you're planning on leaving it unplugged, I'd maybe turn it down to 1080p and turning down your settings, and then you may be able to enjoy some gaming without the power supply. But I found you couldn't just take the laptop, go in the living room, and like plug in a controller and play like Forza or like Modern Warfare 2 and not experience that like massive FPS drop. And like I said, it makes sense. The laptop needs power to be able to feed it to that 3070 Ti, but it did make the experience of having a laptop a little bit strange, because you're basically tethered to this if you want to play at the higher resolutions and higher FPS. So as far as my overall impression of the Omen 16 laptop, I thoroughly enjoyed using it, and I think it's a fantastic PC. And I really find it crazy how far we've come with gaming laptops, because the last one I used was several years ago, and it was gigantic, it was super bulky, and it was incredibly heavy. So even though it was a laptop, I didn't really find it portable just because of how big it was. But the Omen 16 weighing in under 5 pounds, And this tiny little 2 to 3 pound power supply is enough to power a 3070 Ti, I think is just absolutely crazy. But I think all the pros I had for the Omen 16 heavily outweigh the cons, and most of the cons I had for it were just because it's a laptop. So I'd highly recommend it, and if you're in the market for a laptop, I really think you should look into the Omen 16. So that brings us to the big question, and that is, can a gaming laptop compete with or even replace a desktop PC? And I don't think it can. I think desktop PCs are just way too flexible with being able to swap out parts, being able to change up your keyboard, change up your monitors, and a whole bunch of other things. I do think there is a specific market for laptops, and I would not completely write it off if you're in the market for some kind of PC. I think if you're limited on space and you want something that's all in one, or you travel a lot, or maybe you're a student, I do think a laptop would probably fit you better than a desktop, because I've got this gigantic desk with my 2 huge monitors and my PC, but a lot of people might not have that much room and they need to move around a lot. They may share a room with their brother or their sister, so they need to be able to move their setup easily. And I think with how small this chassis is and how small power supplies are getting, I do think that a laptop is a viable option for being permanent. It's just, for me, it doesn't really suit my needs, but I do think there definitely is a market for gaming laptops. Well, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe if you're enjoying my content. And anything listed in this video is going to be mentioned down in the description and in the pinned comment. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'll see y'all in the next video.